We play and call it work.
MiniWarGamer Dave here from MiniWarGaming.com, here with Josh. Welcome, Wargamers, to the new Chaos Space Marines 8th edition Codex. And look at this. This is it right here. This is the brand new Codex that we're getting right now.
Nice and fancy.
Reviewing it. It's a two-part review video. It's going to be awesome. I'm very excited. Obviously, I'm very excited. I couldn't wait for this for a long time. And now that I have it, I'm so happy. A lot of changes. The first part of the video that you're watching right now is on YouTube. There will be a second part. Here, you can hold this for you. The second part will be in the vault. Links in the video description below to watch the second portion of it. It's just going to be one long, continuous review video. We've combed through it. We've looked through the entire book, and we've actually added up all of the changes, and we're going to tell you what all the changes are. And we're going to go over the new stuff, the Legion traits, and the stratagems, and there's new psychic abilities, and we're just going to go over everything, and it will be split up into two. Not sure exactly what we'll talk about in this one or how much we'll talk about it, but we're just going to split it up because that's what we do. Without the vault members, we don't exist. So, and thank you very much for that. You have a big beard with Mike. Okay, so
yeah,
you can't.
I still got to do that. I still
like
do
rub around like that. Otherwise, okay.
For everybody that, because it's inevitable that people always ask in every single video why use a handheld mic.
It makes sense. So going to the points values first off. Actually, power. Let's talk about power levels. We don't do power levels in the videos. We did at the beginning, but we don't anymore. We don't do it much anyway.
Right.
But there were 22 power level changes in the new book. There was one new unit added, which is the Exalted Champion.
Right.
And he's an HQ. So other than that, there's no new units added. The points changes, there were 19 unit changes and 11 weapon changes in terms of the points values for things.
And so, most of them were all fairly substantial changes too. There wasn't really anything super minor that I could think of.
There was only one that actually increased in cost, which was the Instrument of Chaos is 10 points now, and it was free before.
Who cares about demons?
So other than that, everything else went down. All the changes are either this, like all the points are either the same or they decreased. So
except for the only other one was Brimstone's quirk.
Brimstones, they increased.
They went up a point.
Yeah, they went up 1 point. And did you say hi, quirk? Because he painted up like
180 of them.
That is actually pretty funny. That's really funny. So let's go over the changes here. Let's just tell you guys. We're going to tell you guys what's been changed, and then we'll start at the beginning and go through all the changes and the little tweaks and rules that have applied to different units. So if you would, maybe, actually you can look at the old one, and
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, actually I wrote it down here. If we can just.
I was going to say you have them all in front of you.
It's all here. So Chaos Bikers, they were 31 points. Now they're 25.
So it was 6 point difference, huge. Like bikers are amazing in this edition.
Yeah.
And to see them get cheaper, it's
even better.
That's great.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm very happy to see that. You're going to see a lot more bikes in battle reports and in armies that I will be fielding. Chaos Cultists, instead of 5 points, are now 4 points. Again,
it's substantial. I mean, it's a 20% reduction in points.
That's significant because you bring a lot of cultists when you bring cultists.
Yep, and cultists get a couple bonuses. Well, they get one major bonus when it comes to the army rules overall, but we'll go over that in a bit.
Yeah, one of the stratagems.
No, well, the stratagem. The other one I was going to say is the fact that if you're pure chaos, your troops become essentially objective secured. If we're going to use the terminology.
Yeah. We'll go over that. Yeah, and the Space Marines have that as well, so that they kind of.
But they don't have 4 point models in their army.
No, they don't.
So way better. 4 point troop choices.
Yeah, it's good. Chaos Lord and Terminator armor was 122 points. Now is 105. So that's a little bit better.
Really good.
Chaos Predator, 102. Now is 90 points. So
again, nothing but bonuses. And Predators have gotten so much better in this edition.
They've gotten, especially with the autocannons.
Their
much
Predator
better.
autocannon's amazing, and las cannon, being a las cannon boat, they're way better. So to make them cheaper, huge bonus.
Yeah, that's a good bonus, and you'll see a lot of you saw a lot of them already. You'll see even more now, more Predators in lists. Vindicator was 160, now is 135. So that's a significant difference.
Another good one. Nice thing with the Vindicators, I think it's the only Space Marine vehicle other than a Land Raider, which is toughness 8.
Yeah, that's true. It is toughness 8. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Defiler up next.
Yeah, this is the best one because it was 216, and now Defi is 152. So that's fantastic. That's Defi is very happy, and you'll be seeing a lot more Defi because look at that 216, 150. Because I remember back in the day when it was 150 points.
Yep.
And then it jumped up to 200 or 195, and that was a big difference, right? For a long time, it was at the 200 mark. I'd always put Warflame Gargoyles on it, so that 200 points. And so I was kind of used to the fact that it was higher in points.
But being back down to 152, obviously before War Gear, but yeah.
That's
as a base cost, that's a big swing, big difference.
That's huge, especially because you can, for the lower points, and he has his abilities where you can regain wounds every turn.
Yep.
And he has a lot of wounds and, invuln save, so it's fantastic. Yeah, he's even better now. Okay, Lord of Skulls was 465, now is 365. That's huge.
Yeah, they're viable to bring them in games now.
Yeah, it's more viable to bring him in. It's not so high in points. I'm happy about that. Mauler Fiend, 149, went to 140. So a little bit of a difference.
Yeah, nothing huge, but it's nice that they rounded off the number at least.
Yeah. Mutilators, 65 down to 50. So, okay, yeah.
Pretty good.
It's significant because that's per guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big deal. Noise Marines, 16 down to 15. So again, that's per guy, right?
Every
so
little bit
save,
helps, yep.
Yeah. You might save 5 points in a unit or 6 points if you're
You're saying lore appropriate?
Yep. Plague Marines, 21 to 19. So, again, a couple points saved for model.
Yep, which is nice.
10 guys in the squad. There you go. It's 20 points extra, right? That's a weapon. Or 2, depending on the weapon, right? Warpsmith, 78, and is now 45 points. See, that's awesome.
That's another character that, he's got that 2-up save. He's pretty resilient.
Yep.
And can help with the vehicles that have gotten cheaper.
Yeah.
Because the fact that, if you got taking multiple Warpsmiths and multiple Predators, has gotten so much cheaper now.
Yeah, and you can bring a lot more Warpsmiths. Because 78 is high for what he does. Basically, you sit him back in the army and he just helps out your guys, your vehicles that are shooting. And he doesn't really go up too much. He can, but not too much. Right?
Well, he's also your cheapest HQ, I believe, now. So if you're going to go and take the, what battalion? No, what detachment am I thinking of? Brigade, or I guess even a battalion for the secondary HQ. He's a good, cheap secondary HQ choice.
Yep. So Abaddon, he was 253. He's now 240. So he went down a bit for that. Carlin the Betrayer was 173 and is now 160. He was actually 160 before. It was either last edition or the one before.
Right,
around
yeah,
there.
yeah.
It was pretty close to what he was. Just glazing over demons here.
They changed some points here.
Some points. So Bloodlighters were 9, they're now 7. Demonettes were 9, are now 7. The Horrors, the Blue Horrors stayed the same at 5. Brimstone was 2, now is 3, so that increased. And Pink Horrors were 10 and are now 8. So they decreased a bit. And then Plague Bearers were 8, they've gone down to 7, which is nice because it's 7 and it's Nurgle. So
your OCD.
My OCD loves it. Yeah, it's good for business. Okay, now let's talk about the ranged weapons and what has changed here.
There's some pretty substantial changes.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see some of the changes here, and it's fantastic. Let's start with the Baleflamer, because this affects the Helldrakes. The Helldrakes are awesome because of their claws, and
they were already a good unit.
They're already good, even though they were expensive. But the Baleflamer was 60, down to 30 points now. So completely cut in half in terms of the points for that. And that's a big deal. 30 points is a lot.
And that's the upgrade you're going to give them over the autocannon, because the autocannon, meh.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're not going to hit anything with it ever. The Baleflamer.
Yeah. Blastmaster was 28, is now down to 20. So, again, that's a good thing. Hades autocannon, 33 points, went down to 25 points. So, that's good. Reaper autocannon was 18, now 15. So, saved a few points there. Soul Reaper cannon was 20, is now 15. So, good.
These are the big changes, the melee weapons. These
are actually so big that you got to wonder what happened. I'm very curious. So I'll just dive right into it. So these are the melee weapons here. Demonic Axe was 45 points, is now 10 points. Like, that's huge.
Right, and there's your, 35 points cheaper on a Demon Prince?
Yeah, like automatically right there.
Yep.
35
the Demon
points
Prince was already a pretty solid option.
Yeah, for sure he was. Hellforged Sword was 42 points, is now down to 10 points. So again, just a massive difference. Lightning Claw is a bit of a change there, so it was 8/12 for a single or a pair. Now it's 9/.
No, you said it backwards.
Oh, I just said
it
backwards.
was 9/13.
It was 9/13, and
yep.
now it's 8/12. Okay, so Plague Sword was 3 and is now 1, and a Power Fist was 20 and is now 12.
See, the Power Fist is probably the one that makes the most sense, because when it was a Power Fist for 20 and a Chain Fist for 22, 2 extra points, you had the guaranteed damage.
Yep.
I don't know why anybody was ever taking Power Fist, but now with an 8-point difference, or sorry, I guess a 10-point difference between the two,
yep.
Okay, that makes sense.
It makes it so you would actually think about bringing a Power Fist now, because before there was kind of no question.
Yeah, before there was no point unless you just didn't have the model.
Right. But that's why we have the Market Dave, so we just count it as the fist, so it's all good. Okay, so let's go through the units, and we're just going to go over the changes. We're not going to go over every single unit. We just want to show you guys.
There wasn't a ton of changes, but we saw a lot of changes in the power level. But the actual stats of a couple of units have changed, and I think we found pretty well all of them. I think.
Yeah, I mean, we literally combed through every number and every ability of every unit, so these are the ones that both of our eyes have seen. So if we've missed anything, then we both missed it. But it's true, pretty good. So starting with Abaddon, in addition to his points difference, because his points changed, he went from power level 13 to 12, and he has gained an ability called the War Master, and that says that if the army that he's in is Battleforged and he is the Warlord, you receive 2 additional command points. So
that automatically is almost, that justifies taking him now.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I mean, he's good. He's automatically good because he's Abaddon, regardless of what you might think.
Phil Abaddon's
okay.
They're trying hard to retcon to make him less of a failure, but he's the favorite. Well, he's the favored son of the biggest failure legion that there ever was. So I mean,
do you kiss your mom with that mouth? Okay, going on to the next change here. Carlin Betrayer, he was 9 power, now he's 8 power. Everything else about him is the same, so that's the only difference there. Huron Blackheart, he gained an ability very similar to Abaddon's, the Tyrant of Badab. So if the army is Battleforged and he is the Warlord, you receive 1 additional command point. Not quite as good as Abaddon, but still good. Something.
Good. And he's a good character.
He is a good character, yeah.
He's pretty cool in the lore.
He definitely is. Demon Prince was power level 10, now is 8. That's the only change there. Chaos Lord, in terms of the power level or any abilities, nope.
Nothing changed there except for
the Terminator armor.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so instead of 7 power, it's 6 power. And Sorcerer, instead of 7 power, is 6. Exalted Champion. This is a brand new unit. Actually, let's talk about this right now because it's the new unit.
Right. Here's your other HQ choice. Now his point cost is only like 4 points different than the Chaos Lord.
Yeah, exactly right. So 74 versus 70 for the Exalted Champion, and so it's comparable. And like it's negligible difference. It's not so much that it's. You can look at those points values and you can be like, okay, I can bring this or this.
They're in the same bracket as each other. Is where I'm looking at it.
Yeah. And same with the power level there. Yeah, power level is the same if you're playing power, but we play points. Let's talk about his special abilities. He has Death to the False Emperor, which for those of us who don't know, on hit rolls of 6, you can make additional hit rolls. Aspire to Glory. You can reroll failed wound rolls in the fight phase for friendly Legion units that are within 6 inches of the Exalted Champion, which is good. I mean, that's kind of what you get when you're a Lord or you're a Demon Prince. You can reroll those hit rolls.
Well, that's all for all the.
Actually, that's wound rolls.
It's wound rolls. He's the different one.
Yeah.
So the Chaos Lord lets you reroll that to hits, but lets you do it all the time. But it's only ones that he rerolls.
But you reroll failed wound rolls in the fight phase.
Right.
Yeah, okay, so that's good. I mean, that alone should make you think, Do I want to do that, or do I want to reroll hit rolls of 1?
See, the Chaos Lord's still a bit more versatile in what you can...
Because it's shooting and assault.
It's shooting and assault, and I mean, the Chaos Lord can take a jump pack.
He can.
I don't think the Exalted Champ can.
No.
Can he?
There's no entry for it.
Right, so it's a little bit more difficult, and he doesn't have the ability to take Terminator armor and be able to show up on the board with Teleportarium. So it's a little bit tougher to make sure he's in the spot you need him to be.
Yeah.
He's not a bad character.
Well,
he's different.
And here's the question. Can he take any artifacts? And yes, he can. He can, because he's a character, so he can replace any of his melee weapons with any of the relics.
He's got access to the required...
So that's the same
gear to be able to swap out for the relics. So
he's good. The Chaos Lord. So the question is, do you want to be able to utilize that in close combat? If he's close combat, maybe you make him a corner Exalted Champion, and he's better because he's rerolling his wound rolls.
Yeah, there's a couple different things to do with him. He definitely has his place. If I was going to do one or the other, it would definitely be the Chaos Lord, but I would take him to supplement the Chaos Lord if I had the points.
Because you figure this, right? Like if you are within 6 inches of Khorne Berserkers, for example, right?
Yep.
And they have their Blood for the Blood God special rule where they attack twice in the fight phase. So you are essentially allowing them to re-roll their wound rolls.
Yeah,
right?
You're getting a
That's
whole...
a lot.
Anytime you can re-roll dice is good.
Yeah, and they get more hits because they have Death to the False Emperor as well.
Right.
So that's significant.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so it's good.
It's pretty good.
So for the Dark Gods, it's the other rule that he has, and it says you can reroll failed hit rolls for this model if the target is an enemy character.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
Yeah. So
going to hunt down other champions.
Yeah, he's not bad. So, okay, Exalted Champion. Worth a shot, worth a try. We shall see. Warpsmith used to be 6 power, is now 5. That's the only change for him. Bloodletters used to be 5 power, now 4. Plague Bearers used to be 5, are now 4. Demonettes used to be 5, are now 4. And Rubric Marines used to be 8 power, they are now 7. Plague Marines.
Here we go. Now there's actually some real changes.
Real changes, more significant changes. So first off...
Well, additions, I guess, instead of changes.
Yeah, that's true. There are 6 new weapons here that you're able to equip them with that are in addition to what they were in the Chaos Index.
Exactly, yeah.
And there's a new ability here that you get, which kind of corresponds to the new weapons that you get. And so let's talk about some of the weapons here. Plague Belcher is 9-inch, Assault D6, Strength 4, AP nothing, and Damage 1, and it automatically hits the target. So
yeah, and the Plague Weapon with the reroll. So for me, the most substantial part about that is the 9-inch range.
Yeah.
Because I know when people are trying to avoid Overwatch fire from flamer-type automatic hit weapons, they'll charge from more than 8 inches away, and you can't Overwatch them.
Right, so it's basically a longer
This just
flamer.
makes it, yeah.
So
the slightly better range does make, for me, a pretty substantial difference. I like it.
Yeah. Plague Spewer, 9 inches, again, heavy D6. Strength 5, -1, AP, and 1 damage, and automatically hits the target, so it's like a...
Yeah, it's a heavy flamer with the Plague
It's a heavy
roll.
flamer, yeah, with a longer...
With slightly better range and the reroll wound rolls of 1.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Bubotic Axe. So that is Strength +1, -2 for the AP and damage 1. And it is a Plague Weapon, which allows you to reroll wound rolls of 1 for the weapon. So pretty straightforward. Flail of Corruption, Strength +2, -2, and 2 damage. And then you make D3 hit rolls each time you attack with a weapon instead of only 1. And excess damage for the weapon is not lost, but instead keep allocating damage to another model in the target unit until either all the damage has been allocated or the target is destroyed.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that's not bad. I like that. It's kind of like it's decaying, and I picture like acid happening. So
see, I just picture a crazy guy with a flail swinging it around. Doesn't matter who he hits.
You gotta, yeah. But at least he doesn't hit himself.
It's true.
Yeah, because that's more corn.
Yeah.
Great Plague Cleaver. Strength ×2, -3, and D6 damage. It is a plague weapon, so rerolling wound rolls of 1. And when attacking with a weapon, you must subtract 1 from the hit roll.
Good substantial damage.
Yeah. And then Mace of Contagion, strength +2, -1, 3 damage. And Plague Weapon again, and then when attacking with it, you subtract 1 from the hit roll. So, as for the abilities, Vectors of Death and Disease, which is the new ability that the Plague Marines have been given, in addition to their disgustingly resilient, their Plague Weapon, Death of the False Emperor. There's the new ability which says, a Plague Marine equipped with 2 Plague Knives, a Plague Knife and a Bubonic Axe, or a Mace of Contagion and a Bubonic Axe, has an attack characteristic of 2 instead of 1.
Right, because I think the Plague Marines were the only God-specific Marine that only had 1 attack. I think everybody else had at least 2 attacks.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know about the Thousand Suns, but...
Why? Why didn't you know about Thousand Suns?
I don't know. Do they have 2 attacks in rubrics? No, they don't.
It's just 1.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so them and Thousand Suns. But
now they've got a way to get 2 attacks.
They got a way to get 2, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So, that's good. In fact, yeah, since you're re-rolling wound rules of 1 because they're plague weapons, so that might even make it better, and you get more attacks with it. Yeah.
Pretty solid. Another unit, again, if you've got a bunch of plague belchers or spewers or whatever you can, yeah, up to 2 can replace to get the plague spewer or plague belcher.
Yeah, so you get your flamers, right?
That's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah. So what would you equip the unit with?
I don't know. I'd have to kind of take a look at the point costs and see.
You would have to power game?
This is a power game. It's
power
basic
game?
reading.
Basic reading.
Overall, the way I would see it is I'd probably have screening units of these guys with plague spewers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So Noise Marines, 7 power down to 6. Not really much.
Nothing too exciting.
Chosen, they were 8 power, now they're down to 7. Mutilators were 10 power, now down to 7, so that's more of a significant difference. Let's talk about Possessed for a minute.
Okay, so this is actually one of the I think the bigger changes because they've actually changed the characteristics.
Yeah, so instead of 1 wound, it's 2 wounds. They increased the wounds.
Right.
Which is actually a fantastic difference.
They didn't increase the point cost of them or anything like that.
Nope.
They've just doubled the resiliency of this unit.
Yeah, and that makes them so much more viable. There's no Possessed tax.
Yep.
Or maybe the tax has decreased.
Well, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So what do you think? How would you feel them? What would you do?
Again, I don't use Possessed Marines because I'm a Night Lords player, but...
If you did.
That unit to go kind of tarp it. Whatever big scary thing on the board there is. Whatever shooty unit I want to get shot at a bunch by. Okay, Possessed, go say Oogie Boogie Boo and keep them tied up in close combat for a while. I wouldn't use them as so I'd use them as a tarp it unit, not a killing unit.
Yeah, you put them out there, you put them on an objective, or you put them out there to kind of hold guys up. But the thing is, if they're being shot at with weapons that are damage high, then it kind of negates the fact they have to.
Well, it does, but then they're having to shoot damage high weapons at these guys and not at my Terminators, not at my tanks, not at all the stuff that I want to keep alive. They're shooting them at the Possessed that are there to just soak up fire. So if you're shooting those weapons at the Possessed, you're doing exactly what I want you to do.
Yes, but I would prefer that weapons that are more volume as opposed to damage high are shooting at these guys because of the wounds, right?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is...
Because that's cultists, right? For like damage high weapons, you want that to be the case. Yeah, that's the best case scenario.
Yeah, these are a little bit tougher than the cultists. No, as far as which one I want to use for the tarpet, I don't know. Like I said, I still don't love Possessed.
Yeah, everything else is the same, right?
Right. Or you send them in to kind of soften up a unit first.
But they have a decent amount because they're strength 5, and they have D3 attacks. So they have at least 1, and they have potential of 3 attacks.
Yep, and their melee weapons AP -2, 1 damage.
Yeah, so
pretty good.
It's not bad. Yeah, so and they move 7. So yeah, tar pit. Yeah, I would tar pit them. Use them as tar pits. The Hellbrute was 8 power, is now down to 7. Chaos Bikers, in addition to their points difference, because there's a difference there, was power level 7, now down to 5. Other than that, there's no difference in the abilities or war gear options or stats. Yeah. Raptors, they were 7 power, down to 6 now. Warp Talons were 9, now down to 7. So No other differences other than the power levels. Obliterators, this is a fun one.
No, Obliterators was one that a lot of people complained about, and I will agree for the most part that they didn't seem that worth it. What they've done is they haven't changed. They don't think they changed the point cost of these guys at all, but they did change the guns to be Assault 4 instead of Assault 2.
Yep.
So they've doubled the firepower of the unit,
which is fantastic because everything else in the shell of the Obliterator is the same, right? So you are kind of getting more. It's like you're doubling your unit.
They've got the unit the exact same and just doubled the amount of shots it makes.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. Land Raider, exact same. Oh, talk about Defi. So his points cost that they've changed, and also the power has changed. It was 16. It's now power 11 for Defi. He's so happy about this. We had a good conversation, he and I.
I definitely believe you did.
So Forge Fiend was power level 10, is now 8. Vindicator was 11, now down to 8. Predator was 10, now down to 9. That's great. I love that for those tanks.
Well, it's funny too because the old Vindicator was higher in power level than the Predator, and I think they've realized now that no, the Predator's better. Vindicator's good, but the Predator's better.
Yes, yeah. It's interesting how that happened, and they both decreased, but one decreased more, because yes, Predator is better. And Lord of Skulls was power 39 and is now 29, and rightfully so. So those are the differences in the units and the little changes that we have found when we have gone through the units. Let's talk about the overall
the overall army rules.
So the one that you had mentioned before
was Despoilers of the Galaxy.
Yep. So if your army is Battleforged, then troops in the Chaos Space Marine detachment gain this ability, and such unit that is within range of an objective marker controls it even if there are more enemy models within range of it. So, and then if another unit has a similar ability,
whoever has the most models close by,
such as the Marines, because
Marines are the other one right now. So I don't know. Do you think we're going to see all the armies getting this, or is it just going to be?
I hope not, because it's essentially the old objective secured.
Yeah.
So I hope not. That's just what I'll say. I think I like how they got it.
Yeah, I'm happy that they got it. It makes sense, but it's going to kind of, like I said earlier, I'm not necessarily hugely happy about the copy and paste between this book and the Space Marine book.
Well, it's good if it's the paste was better for Chaos. So
things have gotten better, but I like variety.
Are you talking about? I think you're talking about the framework, right?
No, I'm talking about I'm talking about the specific rules.
Because there's a whole bunch of little tweaks and changes in the units.
Oh, for sure, all that kind of stuff
that are unique. But this Despoilers of the Galaxy, for example, is
the exact same of the Marine.
Yeah, that is
whatever that rule
different
is,
name, same exact thing that it does.
Yep.
So that's what you're not happy about.
Right now I'm a little bit concerned because I don't want to see I don't want the Tau to have a for the greater good ability that reads the exact same as this.
You can't say that out loud. Someone might hear this and actually make it to the Tau.
I don't want them to do it.
Out in the universe now.
Nobody's listening to me.
No one's listening. You can't. The Tau will get nothing. They don't need anything ever. That's my opinion about the Tau.
Cullen disagrees with you.
Well, Cullen just should eat more fish. that came out so weird. It was like, what do I say? He's got this face that I don't want to hurt, but okay. Anyway, no Tau. Even just saying the word is blasphemous. Okay, Legion traits. Let's talk about Legion traits.
Okay, so this is kind of cool.
Yeah. So let's see here. If your army is Battleforged, all infantry, bikers, and Hellbrute units, they gain a Legion trait. Okay. Now there is something here that I need to mention. Shadowy allies, it says the inclusion of Fabius Bile or the Fallen unit in a detachment does not prevent other units in that detachment from gaining a Legion trait. However, Fabius Bile and the Fallen can never themselves benefit from a Legion trait.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so Black Legion. You add 1 to the leadership characteristic of models in the unit with the trait, and in addition, if a unit with this trait advanced, it treats all rapid-fire weapons as assault weapons until the end of the turn.
Right.
Yeah.
So the big thing for people to keep in mind, because I've had this discussion with a few folks, bolters are your example.
Yep.
So bolters are rapid fire 1. It means that they go to assault 1.
Yep. So they lose.
They don't get to double tap if they're close. So
no.
The ability is pretty good. It is somewhat limited in its capability.
Well, it depends, right? Like, because if you are 13 to 24 inches away from something when you're firing it, then you get an extra shot, and why not, right? Because if you're far enough in your foot slogging, then it's a little bonus.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And the plasma gun, like same thing, like anything rapid fire, right? So
I think it seems pretty handy for like your Terminators or stuff like that you want to advance up, and they're rapid fire too. So again, not as many shots, but at least they're getting some volume of fire.
They lose quite a bit more just because they are, I mean, their combi bolters are more shots at half range, right? So, but again, it's extra shots that you didn't have before, so why not benefit from it? What are the other ones that stuck out to you here?
Okay, so some of the other cool ones, the Dark Raiders, and that's your generic renegades.
They advance and charge in the same turn. That's
pretty good. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, more distance and more movability is always good.
The Butcher's Nails for the World Eaters. When a unit with this trait successfully charges, you can make 1 additional attack with each of the models.
Yep.
Pretty good.
I like that.
The Night Lords one, which seems relatively unique, is models and enemy units must subtract 1 from their leadership characteristic for each unit with this trait that is within 6 inches of theirs to a maximum of -3.
And why is this a good one?
I mean, it's so overall the reason I think it's good is because it's different. I haven't seen anything else like this, and you're able to stack a couple different bonuses. So I like my Night Lords, obviously, and I like my Raptors. So it allows you to fairly easily give -5 to enemy units around.
Yeah.
Because Raptors give a -1 if they're within. I think if they're within 3 or it might be within 1.
It's more than. I think it's more than 1.
Yeah, it might be 3. No, units within 1.
It's 1.
So with the Raptors, because they can take a Chaos Icon. So you take Nurgle Raptors, because the marks of Chaos don't really make a difference anymore, at least from what I can see right now.
Icon of Despair.
Yeah, which is within 6 inches, unit gets -1 to their leadership.
Okay, so you got that. Plus you got the Fearsome Visage of the Raptor, which minuses 1 if you're within an inch of an enemy. And then you got the Terror Tactics, which is the Night Lord's Legion trait.
Yep.
Which does the same.
So 1 single squad of Raptors charged into something, you're giving that unit -3.
-3.
But if you've got another unit close by, then you're getting to -4. You get another one close by, you get to -5.
Because there's a maximum -3.
On the
Night Lords.
Yeah. And the other ones, the bonuses don't stack if you have multiple Raptor units or Icons of Despair.
No. So with Terror Tactics, if you're a Night Lord, then max potential of -5 leadership, which is actually a big deal.
Right. There's a couple other ways you can do it, too. I think if you take Belcher in a list, he can affect more. There's a bunch of different ways you can stack bonuses.
What was the one that we found? I think it was the Warlord trait.
Right. There's a Warlord trait that we'll go over a little bit more in depth after. But it's not the Night Lords one. It's a generic one, Lord of Terror.
It is a generic one.
Yeah. When you take a morale test, when the enemy takes a leadership test within 6 inches of your Warlord, they roll 2 dice and discard the lowest.
Yep.
And they use the high dice roll for their leadership test.
So you got that, plus your Terror Tactics, plus your Icon of Despair.
You can start to stack it a bunch,
Raptors,
and you can probably
your Lord.
choose for some. You can make some stuff run away.
Yeah. So that seems to be the lore of the Night Lords, which is great. I love it.
It's fitting. I think the reason I like it is that it feels appropriate for the Legion. It's not the most powerful rule. It's not the most broken rule, but it's something that you can at least use, and it's unique to them. So I like that.
Yeah.
The other one's Alpha Legion, hidden in plain sight. Your opponent must subtract 1 from hit rolls. Target units with this trait if they're more than 12 inches away.
That's a big deal.
Don't overcharge plasma guys more than 12 inches away.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
But yeah, that's kind of the ones that stick out to me a little bit. I know the Alpha Legion one, that's the Raven Guard trait from the Space Marine book.
In the Word Bearers, Profane Zeal, you can reroll failed morale tests for units with the trait. That's they shall know no fear. Is that not the same thing?
Yep, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But that one, it's a Legion trait instead of just a generic army rule.
Yeah.
The only one we didn't talk about is Iron Warriors. So Steve spent a lot of time laughing about the Imperial Fists, and they're not necessarily great chapter tactic. Well, there you go, Steve. You eat your heart out. It's the exact same.
So enemy units attacked by units with this trait do not gain any bonus to their saving throws for being in cover. Wow. In addition, you can reroll failed wound rolls for units with this trait when they target a building.
It could be worse, but it's not fantastic.
No. And then hidden in plain sight. No, we already went over that.
Yeah, we went over that one.
Flawless perfection. The Emperor's Chill, and that's the last one here for the Legion traits. So units with this trait always fight first in the fight phase, even if they didn't charge. Now, these Legion traits, they've been leaked already, so people could have already read these because they're online.
Yeah, they were floating around online.
Yeah, so it's fine. So there's nothing new in this video that we'll be learning here. It's more just like...
Yeah, and I think most of the leaks online were pretty close to exactly what it is.
Yeah, and it is what it is, right?
Right.
Because I think it was just taken from the book, but...
Well, somebody got a hold of, I think it was a White Dwarf, and they had these printed on a... The White Dwarf was talking about new codexes, and if you squinted enough at the page, you could make out what it said, because they used this page in the White Dwarf.
Okay.
But
Well,
like a tiny little picture of it.
that makes sense. So, let's talk about some stratagems. These are fun because they add so much flavor to the army.
Right. I wasn't sure when 8th edition started how much I was going to like the whole command point thing, but I like it.
I'm really liking it too. And I like how, like when I have command points, I get at least 6.
Right.
And I especially like getting 12 with the brigade. That's pretty good. But and then Abaddon with the +2.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be good as well. But let's talk about some here. I think my favorite might be Veterans of the Long War.
Why is it your favorite?
Well,
we talked about it a bunch before, because this is by far my favorite one as well.
Okay, so you use it when biker or infantry, they're selected to attack in the shooting or fight phase, and you can add 1 to all wound rolls made for the unit until the end of the phase. So
way better than the old Veterans of the Long War. And I like the fact that it specifically says that you can't use it for renegade chapters. I know that doesn't make much of a difference, like gameplay-wise, but lore-wise, I find that really cool.
Yeah, that is really good. It costs 1 command point to use it, but if you are focusing on something that you really want dead, then that 1 command point could make all the difference.
Could make a huge difference. Well, I love my Chosen with Plasma.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden, wounding quite a few different things on 2s.
Without charging. Yeah.
Or, well,
Supercharging.
you do overcharge. Hey, look, there's that Predator I really want to kill. So I'm going to overcharge. It's toughness 7. I'm strength 8 now. So I'm wounding on 3s. I'm going to use this to wound on 2s.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or, let's see, Corn Berserkers. Right?
Yeah, almost anything. Like, whenever I look at this stuff, I go immediately to how can this benefit me shooting at something, and you go to how does it benefit me in combat.
Which is why we're making the video together, right? Because it makes sense.
Get a little bit of both.
But talking about the Corn Berserkers for a second there, so normally if they're fighting Marines, they're wounding on 3s.
Yeah, because they're strength 5.
In this case, they're wounding on 2s.
Big difference because you're throwing a ton of attacks.
Fantastic. And if they're with an Exalted Champion, they're re-rolling those 2s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's just another little awesome thing that they can add. But Veterans, I think, will probably come into play one of the most. Out
of all these, I think I can't see myself playing a game where I'm not using Veterans at least once or twice.
Right. Yeah. So and I'm sure there's other scenarios and situations that'll come up when we see it more. Like there's a definite time, like okay, you got to use Veterans right now. We don't know that yet because we haven't played the games with it, but
well, in a game like this too, with the way that the chart works now for wound rolls, getting +1 to wound, that's huge.
Yeah, it is.
Like +1 strength, +1 to wound, absolutely game changing.
It's so much better than +1 strength.
So the other example we used is, I got a unit of Havocs with las cannons, and I really want to shoot down that Land Raider.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to wound the Land Raider on 3s, but if I use this, I wound it on 2s.
That's huge. That's huge. Yeah.
Really big difference.
Yep. That also makes Vindicator's better. No, never mind.
Yeah, it's only the infantry.
Yeah, it's only infantry.
Infantry or biker.
Yeah. Well, it's good for Havocs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or anything. It's just much better. Okay, so let's talk about Chaos Boon, because this is something that has drastically changed. First off, it's a stratagem, and it's 1 command point that you spend. It's still related to a character killing another character. You don't have to be
correct
in a challenge because they don't exist.
Well, slay an enemy character, vehicle, or monster.
Yeah, so it actually got better that way. So you kill a character or those other 2, and it is 1 of 11 results instead of 1 of 66.
There was, yeah. Well, it wasn't actually, you rolled a D66 before.
D66, okay, so it wasn't quite that many, but it was...
It was a bunch.
Yeah, but anyway, they are all good. They're all beneficial. Because I found in the other Chaos Boon, it was just like...
Number 2's not great, but...
Number 2 is Spondum. That's good lore-wise.
Ah, I see what you're... Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but anyway, no, that's not good. That's the only one that sucks. Yeah. Just don't roll...
It's the only really negative one.
Don't roll double ones. But anyway, so let's just go through them right now just to show you. So, Arcane Oculum, you add 6 inches to ranged weapons of your character. So, right? Something that helps you.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is add 3 inches to the move characteristics.
Really good, I like that.
Yep.
Mobility is important.
Add 1 to your strength characteristic.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yep. You roll a 6, you add 1 to the attacks characteristic. And here's the one that I like, because it just makes sense. On a result of 7,
which is your average dice roll,
you choose a boon of your choice. And it cannot be Spawnhood or Demonhood, but it can be any of the other ones.
Yep, I like it.
So that's good. I mean, more often than not, like, you'll be getting something good, or you'll just be choosing exactly what you want, so that's nice. Blade Master number 8 is subtract 1 from hit rolls in the fight phase from the target. That target the character.
In the fight phase, yeah.
In the fight phase, yeah.
It's a little bit tougher to swing at him in combat,
yep.
Which is nice, because when you stack it, like if they're swinging Power Fist at you, then it's a total of -2.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Cosmic Fate number 9, add 1 to all saving throws made for the character. That's a big deal.
Ooh, actually, yeah, because that's all saving throws. That includes your invulns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. I was actually about to say, like, I don't think that's that great, but...
No, but it's good.
Yep.
You get your Sigil of Corruption, normally 4 up, now it's a 3 up invuln. Yeah. Crystalline Body is add 1 to the toughness. Number 11 is add 1 to the wounds, which is good, right? It's not bad. It's good.
Right.
And then number 12 is Demonhood. So your character is slain, but before removing him as a casualty, you add Demon Prince to your army. You set up the Demon Prince within 6 inches of your character before removing them. So.
Here's an interesting bit, because we talked about this earlier. Because I kind of said, man, Demon Prince. If you have a mark, you have to keep the same mark. But they do not cost any reinforcement points in a match play game for the Spawn or the Demon Prince. So that works.
Yeah.
Because originally I said, well, who cares with the Demon Prince one? Because if you didn't pay the points for it, it's not going to happen. Yeah, no, he's free.
But now he's free. That's a big deal, because how many points is he, right?
Yep.
So,
yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad. Demon Shell. This is the first one here, 1 command point.
I kind of like this. This is kind of funny.
Yeah, so use a stratagem before character attacks with a bolt pistol, bolt gun, combi bolter, or the bolt gun profile of a combi weapon, and you can only make a single hit roll with the weapon or bolt gun profile with this phase, which you cannot re-roll. If the shot hits, the target suffers D3 mortal wounds. If the shot misses, your character suffers D3 mortal wounds.
That's kind of funny, because the Chaos Lord with his little bolt pistol of, I think I want you to take D3 mortal wounds. He hits on a 2-up. He doesn't get any modifiers to it. So there's a 16% chance this all goes terribly wrong, but otherwise D3 mortal wounds is pretty good.
Yeah.
Finishing off another character or something like that.
That's 1 command point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing in close combat, you failed to kill their character or whatever, and next turn when it comes around to your shooting phase, I'm just going to do D3 mortal wounds and kill you off.
Yeah. And that's the nice thing about it, because the chances of it happening are great. I want to use a command point to re-roll the 1 if you roll a 1 on it, though, you know?
Right.
You'd probably want to at that point.
No, you can't re-roll it.
Does it say that?
Yeah, you can't re-roll this or modify this in any way.
Which you cannot re-roll. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess it would take away from the narrative. It's like, wait, no.
The epicness of it.
You don't actually wound me mortally. Yeah, so that's what it is, right? So here's another one that's very lore appropriate. Gifts of Chaos. This stratagem here is 1 to 3 command points.
Correct.
And so you use the stratagem before battle. Your army can have 1 extra artifact of chaos for 1 command point, 2 extra for 2, or 3 extra for 3 command points. All of the artifacts of chaos.
No, you get 2 extra artifacts for 3.
Oh, is it 2?
Yeah.
2 extra artifacts for 3 command points. Oh, now I understand. So it's either 1 command point or 3 command points.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So all of the artifacts of chaos that you include must be different and be given to different chaos-based Marine characters. So you just get more artifacts.
It's not bad. I don't see you spending too many command points on it, but it's handy every once in a while.
Yeah, it depends, right? Like you do it before battle. So I think it's you do it after seeing your opponent's army.
Correct, yeah.
Right? And you're like, okay, well, I think I want the murder sword now.
I was thinking the exact same thing. Like,
Yeah.
I could use a murder sword on this guy. Sure.
Yeah. So, it's not bad. So, Beseech of Chaos Gods, is that not similar to...
No, this one's different. This one lets you just randomly... You select a unit with a marked chaos keyword that's not dedicated to a chaos god, and they suddenly dedicate themselves to a chaos god. I can't see why you'd really bother.
Well, if you get a benefit from it, right? That's the only case.
But why wouldn't you just do it before the game?
Exactly. But...
Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. I don't get it. So
you do it at the start of any of your turns. You select a unit with a mark of chaos that is not dedicated itself. Immediately dedicated to one of the chaos gods. Why would that be a thing? Why would you want to do that? I'm trying to think of a scenario. I don't think I...
Yeah, I can't think of one either. This next one's good, though.
Blasphemous Machines?
Yep.
So you do that before vehicle attacks in the shooting phase. And until the end of the phase, the vehicle can ignore the penalties for moving and firing heavy weapons or for advancing and firing assault weapons. Yeah, that's good. And it's only 1 command point.
Do you know how good that makes my Sakaran? Pro tip, really good. Because it's, okay, so my Sakaran, which is a Forge World tank for Chaos.
Which you can bring in 40k?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It has 2 las cannon sponsons. Mm-hmm. And it's got the accelerator autocannon on top, which is, I can't remember how many shots, but a better version of the autocannon. Mm-hmm. It moves 14 inches base, though. Mm-hmm. So that means I can move him the full 14 inches and fire every one of those guns at full effect for 1 command point. Not taking the penalty for moving and shooting las cannons. And technically, the autocannon on top is an assault weapon. Mm-hmm. So that means I can move him 14 plus D6 and fire that thing without penalty. So if you really want to run away with the flyer, I'll catch you.
Yeah. Yeah, that is good.
Yeah, I like that. Well, it's good for things like predators and all that, too. Like, you want to move your predator with las cannons to a spot where you're going to be able to get shots on somebody. Mm-hmm. But you don't want to be hitting on worse than what you normally are.
You don't want
1
to
command
be
point?
hitting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Worth it. Totally worth it.
What if you didn't have this, Karen? Still worth it?
Oh, yeah, like on a predator or something like that. To be able to move and shoot las cannons on a predator without penalty.
Heck, land speeders. I was testing you. I just feel, you're like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
I've got a Night Lord's land speeder.
You know what? Here's my dream, okay? Draw pods and land speeders. They became chaosified, and you can actually build it. They had some sort of model equivalent.
I don't think they give you the generic ones. I think we're going to get off topic, but I think Forge World lets you take the Dread Claws in 40k for Chaos, I think. And you might be able to take Javelins. I can't remember.
Because that would be sweet.
That would be pretty cool.
That is the equivalent, right?
They forgot how to use that stuff, apparently.
That would be amazing. Anyway, Fury of Khorne. So Use it at the end of a fight phase. You select an infantry or biker, and you can immediately fight again.
But it's got to be a corn unit, and it's 3 command points. It could be worth it, but...
Well, okay, here's the thing, right? I think that might be a case where you use it on, like, Karn.
You use that to win the game. Like, you use it in a situation where if I do this right now, I can just win the game. Or I can put my opponent into a position where he can't win the game. That's when you use it.
Yeah. Like, okay, I'm Karn, and you are another warlord, and we had a battle, and we're still alive. You have 1 or 2 points left.
And it's my turn next,
it's your turn next.
Gonna just,
you're going to attack me first. So, like, yeah, that's a scenario where that would be used. Yeah. So, okay. Grandfather's Blessings. So, use it at the end of your movement phase. You select Nurgle Infantry or Biker, and 1 model in the unit heals D3 wounds. And if there are no wounded models in the unit, a single model in the unit that was slain earlier is returned to the unit with a single wound remaining. That's 2 command points.
Pretty good.
That's not bad. Endless Cacophony, 2 command points. You use it at the end of your shooting phase, and then you select a Slanesh infantry or biker, and they can immediately shoot again.
Worth it.
That's good.
I'm thinking like on units that actually probably Chosen.
Yep, that would.
You know, it's fun rapid firing with plasma guns. You know, it's more fun doing it twice.
Havocs too.
Yeah, Havocs would work pretty well just as well.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, the Great Sorcerer, 1 command point. End of your psychic phase when you use it, and you select a Tzeentch Psyker. You can immediately attempt to manifest 1 additional psychic power this turn. So
it's not bad. An extra smite or something like that.
Yep. Tide of Traitors. 2 command points. Use at the end of your movement. And if you do, you pick a unit of Chaos Cultists and remove it from the battlefield. You can then set it up, again, wholly within 6 inches of an edge of a battlefield, more than 9 inches away from enemy models, at its full starting strength.
Really good. So that's that. You know, they left an objective unguarded.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? My objective secured cultists are going to just go from this. They're going to go from this corner of the board over on that edge of the board.
Oh, by the way, there's now 20 of them again.
Yeah, they're back up to full.
Yeah.
That's
that's fantastic.
That's good.
Yeah, and it's the Tide of Traitors, right? So it's a stratagem now instead of what it was before.
Right.
Yeah. It is 2 command points, which rightfully so. It should be more than 1, because I think if it is 1, that'd be too cheap.
Yep. Well, the thing is, you can keep doing it every single turn.
Yeah, but then again, you're spending command points on cultists. That's the other thing, too, the thing.
But if you're spending command points to get victory points to win...
Well, yeah, if it equates to a victory point, then sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all, I think it's situational. Linebreaker Bombardment, 1 command point. Now, this is when you have Vindicators.
Yeah, this is the triple Vindicator. This is the exact same one from the Space Marine book.
Yeah, so you don't shoot their Demolisher cannons, and they have to be within 6 inches of 2 others, so you need 3, right?
Yep.
As you said. And then what is
Just select a visible point within 24 of all 3 vehicles, and you roll a dice for each unit within 3 of that point. You add 1 to the result if the unit has more than 10 models. You subtract 1 if it's a character. On a 4 up, the unit suffers 3d3 mortal wounds.
3d3 mortal wounds. So potential of 9, at least 3. So it's
on
3 to
average,
9.
you're getting 6 mortal wounds on something. On a 4 up,
I don't think that's...
It's only 1 command point, but you got to bring 3 Vindicators. So you got to kind of build a list around that idea.
Yeah.
And am I going to build a list around this? Probably not.
Well, it is 1 command point, right? So
yeah, but it's a one-trick pony. Because here's the thing. Okay, so if I'm playing against you and you've brought 3 Vindicators, I'm going to kill 1 turn 1 and then not worry about this anymore.
Exactly. So it's
not bad, but...
But then again, you're focusing on the Terminator, or you're focusing on the Vindicator.
Oh, yeah, you're forcing them to deal with the Vindicator, but I mean, Vindicators get cheaper, so...
Yeah.
Not my playstyle, but I see the benefit of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, kill shot, 1 command point.
This one, on the other hand, is terrifying to me because I like predators.
So use it in the shooting phase. If a Legion Predator is within 6 inches of 2 others, so it's similar to the Vindicator one in that respect. If you do so, you add 1 to the wound and damage rolls for all of the Predator's attacks that target monsters or vehicles this phase.
So that's your, your triple last cannon. Well, I guess 4 last cannon predators now. I really just need to kill whatever giant scary vehicle you got. Let's do it.
You know what's crazy about that? It's like it's the Predator version of the Linebreaker bombardment. Only 1 command point, but it's so much better.
I think part of it for me is the range of the Predator. Mm-hmm. Like the Linebreaker, it's going to take you probably a turn or two to get into position to be able to use it. Mm-hmm. They've got more time to mitigate and deal with it. Mm-hmm. The kill shot, if I get first turn, I'm just going to shoot you. It's going to work.
Yeah, something's going to die, right? Now, that being said, you have to shoot at a monster or vehicle.
But the thing that you're bringing the Predators with last cannons to kill are monsters and vehicles.
Right, so if you're fighting against an army...
It's what you're going to shoot at it's what you're shooting at anyways.
If you're fighting against an army that doesn't have those, then...
Well, then your last cannon Preds are probably wasted.
They probably would be, yeah.
But who cares, because they don't have any big crazy damage-dealing stuff like that either.
Yeah, then they don't have monsters or vehicles fighting your vehicles.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
I'm okay.
If you want to let... I know there's examples, and people are going to email, well, this specific thing, Imperial Guard, heavy weapon squads. I know there's other stuff, but typically monsters and vehicles are what worry me the most.
Yes. So Demon Forge. So this is now a stratagem. Before it wasn't. This is only applied to like Helldrakes and Defilers before. Now it can be a demon vehicle, which is kind of the same. It's kind of the same thing.
It's the same vehicles that can make use of it.
Yeah. So it is. You use it in your shooting or fight phase, and then you can re-roll all failed hit and wound rolls for that model into the end of the phase, and there's 1 command point. So the cool thing about that is that you can use it multiple times. It's not just like Demon Forge before, the old one is just use it once.
Use it once per game, and yeah.
And it was only failed wound rolls. Now this is failed hit and wound rolls. Hit and wound, and you can do it multiple times.
So when you're Helldrake, because Helldrake's a demon vehicle, right? I'm not crazy?
It should be.
So when your Helldrake flies 30 inches up the board to go maul somebody else's flyer,
yep.
You just use that.
Yeah.
And it mauls it all the more hilariously.
Yep. It is a has demonic special rule.
Yeah, so. Demon and
yep.
vehicle. Okay, yep,
demon
that
engine.
works.
Yep. So good.
Cool.
Chaos Familiar. 1 command point. You use it at the start of your psychic phase. And you select a friendly psyker. That model can replace any of its psychic powers with a power of your choice from the Dark Hereticus discipline.
Pretty good. I like it.
You do?
Versatility.
Why wouldn't you just choose your abilities from the beginning? Why would you use that at all?
Maybe you've decided that later in the game now you need this. You need a different power.
So you just... That to me feels like the other ability that you would know, like Beseech of the Dark Gods, was it? Yeah, that's kind of like
Beseech the Dark Gods goes from having nothing to taking something.
Whereas this is you have something and replacing it.
I can't think of how it would benefit you. This is replacing one thing with another that actually, it's not, don't get me wrong, it's not fantastic. I'm not going to go every turn and be like, haha, I changed my psychic power again. Ironically,
what you said was counterintuitive, because you just said Beseech is where you have nothing and you gain something, and that's not as good as having something and replacing it.
But
I know what you're saying.
There's no benefit to gaining that.
I agree with you, but it just sounded funny, because you would think it would be the other way around. I'm just thinking of a scenario where that would be useful. Chaos Familiar. I see your army. We roll for psychic stuff. Do we not do that after I see your army? Is there an order?
Mark my words. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but we're going to play at one point, and I'm going to have random powers.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to spend 1 command point.
Why you have random powers? Just choose your powers.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying I'm going to have I don't know which ones I'll have. But I won't have warp time. And then I'm going to spend 1
you won't have warp? You choose it.
I won't have warp time, but I'll spend 1 command point mid-game to suddenly go warp time and charge something that you forgot that I could do that.
Oh, so you're like a mind tripping me?
Surprise!
Okay, well, why would you waste the thing and just have it to begin with and just force me to move certain ways to stay away from the thing that you can warp time, which is potentially everything?
Because it's not just about being able to pull off the tactic. It's about being able to surprise you and do it so I can laugh at you.
1 command point.
Yeah, worth it.
Wasted.
I'll do it. Nope.
It is wasted.
Mm-hmm.
You like to laugh at stuff. You're laughing at Quirk earlier.
Yeah, I'm a Night Lords player. I'm a jerk. I'm a bully. It's because I'm a bully. That's why I like it.
Yeah. Okay, Flak Missile. That's the same as the other.
Yeah, that's the exact same as the Space Marine one.
Yeah.
Fire Frenzy is getting to get some extra shots with the Hellbrute. If it didn't move in the movement phase, it can fire all of its weapons twice.
Yep.
But you got to target the nearest visible enemy unit.
Okay. So yeah, that's it's a stratagem turned from a previous ability, which is actually kind of nice because then you have to spend. It's not automatic. You just do it. If you want it, you spend the command point and you do it. 1 command point for forward operatives. This is for Alpha Legion.
And this allows you to basically do this kind of quasi-infiltrate thing. So you can use it when you set up an Alpha Legion infantry unit during deployment. You can set up the unit in concealment instead of placing it on the battlefield. At the beginning of the first battle round, but before the first turn begins, the unit emerges from its hiding place. Set it up anywhere in the battlefield. It's more than 9 inches away from any enemy models.
Yep.
So after you figure out who's going first, but before the turn actually begins, right? That's when they pop up.
Yeah.
And I'm not seeing anywhere that says that counts as their movement or anything, because it's not happening in the movement phase. So you're going to show up more than 9 inches away. So, 9.1 inches away.
Yep.
And then you're going to move 6 inches. And you're going to shoot something and laugh at it.
And then you'll be 3 inches away.
Yeah.
And then you're going to charge it.
First turn. More than likely that's your easy first turn charge.
Unless initiative is stolen, and then they're laughing at you.
But at that point, so you set up the unit in concealment instead of placing on the battlefield, and at the beginning of the first battle round, but before the first turn begins. So I'm going to actually... When do you roll for Steal the Initiative?
Before the first turn begins.
Well, of course.
I don't know. But that's actually a good question. My guess, this is my guess. My guess is that you're going to find it and tell me. So after looking at stuff, it's kind of...
I'm pretty sure I'm right still, but
okay,
I've said that when I'm wrong many times.
From the wording, and I think ultimately you'll need to just decide with your opponent, but it looks as though you seize the initiative, because after you seize, you ultimately determine what the first battle round is. Yeah,
you determine who's going to have the first turn.
And then the Alpha Legion stratagem here, the forward operatives, says at the beginning of the first battle round, but before the first turn begins.
Yeah, because you don't have your the battle round. The first battle round doesn't happen until
it hasn't been determined yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, well, we'll seize the initiative. Let's figure it out, and then boom, because that goes with the lore, I think. With
they're sneaky.
Yeah, so, and I think that's what we're gonna go over here with the stratagems. We're going to continue this conversation and this discussion in the MiniWarGaming Vault. With the rest, we're going to go over the psychic abilities and the artifacts of chaos and the warlord traits. We're going to discuss all those things. Click on the link below to watch that, to continue this discussion for this review of the new Chaos Codex for 8th edition. And thank you very much. We'll see you in the next video.